We're standing in the actual distillery here at Kō Hana, and the aroma is so distinct. How would you describe what this smells like?
Heaven, I think, is the best way to describe it. There's just something so beautiful about a fresh product like this, because all we're doing here is we got that sugarcane juice. We're just throwing yeast into it. There is nothing else that goes into it. There's no additives. It's just so beautiful that we're able to just take that one product for a minute and just let it go.
Sugar just tastes like one thing. It tastes like sugar. But sugarcane juice, and having that juice from these different varieties, how much variation do you have in flavor and aroma?
It's about the same variation that you have in wine. So when you think of different grapes, it's, you know, we have the same kind of thing. There's a couple thousand different varieties of sugarcane, but we stick to those Hawaiian canoe crops that were brought over.
Once you have the fermented sugarcane juice, then what do you do?
So once the juice hits full attenuation, it'll be pumped over into the pot still. And we do 500-gallon washes. So from that 500 gallons, we'll get about 50 gallons of good spirits out of it. And from there, we can do a couple of different things. Any of our white expressions, we will rest in the stainless steel for a minimum of 90 days. But then we also have a barrel house that will do all of our barrel-aged resting.
So I'm standing here in the barrel room with Kyle, and we've already had a chance to taste the unaged spirit with Chandra, but now we're gonna play around with what age does for this rum.
Indeed, it's time to talk about maturity. Let's talk about letting these spirits go from being natural, grassy, funky, to now letting something else interact with it. So this wood is gonna take that beautiful white spirit, add color, add flavor, tiny bit of what I really dislike referring to as like smoothness. You get that, all of those things.
And is this a spent bourbon barrel?
These are, yeah. So we have multiple spent bourbon barrels. You've got new American oak, you've got used bourbon, wine casks, Madeira. The cool part about rum being the Wild West of the spirits world and not having a ton of rules is you can mold it into what you want it to be.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So what are we gonna try first?
All right, so we're gonna try our aged spirit, which is called Koho, which means to select, choose, or vote. This gets bottled right at 90 proof. And hopefully you're gonna pull notes of vanilla, maybe a little bit of baking spice, but still get some of that grassiness on the back end.
Oh, wow. This is a completely different spirit from the clear, unaged version. It does have that kind of warm baking spices character that you get from bourbon, which I love bourbon, but it still has that funky, grassy thing happening that you get from that agricole rum. It's a really unique combination.
I agree, and it's cool to be able to have something that is familiar, but it challenges a little bit. And I think that's what aged agricole rum can do. It gives you notes that you already know you like, but then it takes you to somewhere a little bit new. And that's what we like to do.
So when we arrived a couple days ago, there was a Japanese magazine crew in here taking photos of this barrel and what you guys are doing with it. This is really unique, and it's made from koa wood, which is native to Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, so koa is actually endemic. So unlike the ko, which was brought here with the first Hawaiians, koa was on the back of birds. So quite literally, this endemic acacia wood has been here ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so how is the flavor of this wood different from oak that you're gonna find in a typical barrel?
So what's really interesting about what we're doing is we're using oak first and then finishing in this.
Oh.
So because it's such an interesting wood, you're able to add sort of those finishing notes from it. So the notes that you're gonna get off of koa are actually gonna be more savory. It's got this like salinic thing that happens, which is really neat.
Oh, wow. So still cask strength, it's very hot, but the character really has changed. The vanilla has started to recede, and you do have that like spiciness that is really being pushed forward. Oh, wow.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
It's got that like, you know, not at the beach, but at the trees near the beach.
Yes, exactly.
It's really cool.
And this is the only place that you could make this.
This is it. Hawaii, koa, I mean, there's nowhere else in the world with it.
And that's a perfect thread of what you guys are really focused on here, which is bringing back the culture of these varieties of sugarcane and kind of reviving what was almost lost, being able to, you know, take that one step further and age it in this endemic wood, it just kind of completes that story.
I completely agree, and the fun part about this too is we're actually able to help reforestation efforts with it by planting more koa as we take from those trees. So we're
that's
actually
wonderful.
laying down more, what will hopefully become very significant forests alongside of a lot of really cool people. So it's trying to connect a lot of dots.
Bringing back the Kō as well as the koa.
Yep, and hopefully a lot of other things.
I love that.